All right, so tomorrow we have our quiz number 15. That is the last quiz of the semester. And next semester, I think we'll have a total of 18 quizzes, or maybe 17. There's a couple more weeks in the second semester than there are in the first. So the reason why we did that is because before, first semester used to end after Christmas break. That means you guys had to study during Christmas because your tests were coming up. So that we never really liked that as teachers. So they finally decided, okay, fine, we'll end it early, but that means we got to cut the semesters. Instead of 18 weeks, we're like at 16. So we have to kind of add some back. Okay, so that's why second semester is always a little longer. So, all right, the sections that we've done have to do with long division and also with finding equations given solutions. Okay, so if I give you answers, can you find me the equations where they came from? So we're going to start out with part A. It says write an equation of least degree given its zeros. In other words, just write an equation. I'm going to give you some answers. Okay, so remember what I told you guys. This is what I would like you guys to maybe do if you want to. Write down the answers that I gave you, but write them down like this. Okay? And then, once you do that, you can start setting it up, y equals. Remember, you're supposed to take the opposite of the answer, right? So it says minus 2 right now, so I'm going to write x plus 2. The other one says a positive 1, so it's going to be x minus 1. And the last one says 0. Now, when it says 0, all you have to do is put x. Okay? And then you're going to multiply everything out, and once you're done with that, you're good. So let's go ahead and multiply everything out. So I'm going to do this just for the sake of it. I'm going to do this using the box method for those of you guys that like to use the box method. If you don't like to use the box method, go ahead and distribute while I'm doing this, okay? So according to box method, x times x is x squared. 2 times x is a positive 2x. X times positive 1 is a positive x. And 1 times 2 is a positive 2. Remember, you're supposed to get these two and combine them, right? You can combine those two. So your answer is going to be x squared plus 3x plus 2 times x. This is the box method for this one. Now just multiply the x and then you're done. So you're going to distribute the x. I wouldn't recommend the box method for this. This is easy enough to just kind of throw them back in. So y is equal to x cubed plus 3x squared plus 2x, and you're done. So that's the equation that gives you the answers of negative 2, 1, and 0. Remember, if you don't like doing the box method, that's okay. Just do distribution, the way you're used to doing. Okay? I just figured let's do the box method. I always say if you do it, feel free. Let's do it a little bit today. Any questions on this one? Isn't the 1 supposed to be a negative? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Hold on, let me fix this. Thank you for that. Or here. Would it be easier if I do the following? And then I don't have to change anything. All right, so I'm gonna thank you for that. I'm gonna make sure. Let me put. I remember your name, but I'm just putting that on the side. Change the negative 2, 1, 0 to negative 2, negative 1, 0. X equals negative 1, so that makes it an x plus 1. Then I don't have to worry about changing the whole thing all over again. So I made a mistake in the multiple when I rewrote it in the box. So I didn't copy it down the same, but that's okay. We'll just make a little minor tweak to the original problem, and the whole process is correct. So the answer is right. It's just I had to make a quick change. Okay. So thank you for noticing that. All right. So next problem. 2 multiplicity 3. 2 multiplicity 3. So that means that multiplicity 3 means that the answer of 2 occurs 3 times. In other words, x equals 2, x equals 2, x equals 2. All right? So now when I write out my factors, me y equal to x minus 2, x minus 2, x minus 2. What I'm going to do is I'll do the first part using the box method, the second part using distribution. Okay, a little bit of both, right? It doesn't matter. However you want, box method, distribution, it's up to you. But let's do a box method for the first multiplications. I'm going to multiply these together, okay, these two right here. So, here we go. Whoops. This should be parentheses here. So, it's x minus 2. Let's make sure I get that right this time. X minus 2. So x times x, that's x squared. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And negative 2 times negative 2, positive 4. Remember, combine your middle terms, okay? So make sure you guys combine this with this, because those are supposed to be like terms. So negative 2x minus 2x is negative 4x. So here we go. Y is equal to x squared minus 4x plus 4 times x minus 2. And again, you can do box method for this as well, but I'm just going to change it up. Let's go ahead and do distribution, okay? So we'll distribute these first. So y is equal to x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times negative 2 is negative 2x squared. Now let me distribute the middle term. So negative 4x times x is negative 4x squared. And negative 4x times a negative 2 is a positive 8x. And now I'm going to distribute the last term. This is one where I kind of exaggerate the loops just to make them a little more obvious. So 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So I'm going to get my like terms. I'll highlight them for us. These right, whoops, that was not a highlighter. So this right here, these are like terms. Okay, those two. Yeah, go ahead. And then these right here are like terms as well. Okay, so once we combine those, we're done. So let's see. Y is equal to x cubed. Negative 2x squared minus 4x squared. Negative 6x squared. 8x plus 4x. 12x. And then minus 8. And we're done. Okay. So you saw me use box method and distribution method all within the same problem. You can do that too. You can only do distribution. You can only do box method if you want. It's up to you, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. Like I said, when you've done this for over 20 years like I have, I don't even bother with this stuff. I just do it in my head, but I should be able to, right? Because if you're doing this for 20 years, you should be good at it, right? If not, that's terrible. So any questions on this one? Because we got one more of these types. But they're all a little different. Notice the first one that we did was just 3 normal numbers, okay? Then I did a multiplicity problem, right? Now, complex. So those are the 2 solutions that we have for our polynomial that we're trying to discover the equation for. Now, remember I told you guys something about imaginary numbers. What do they always have? They have 2, right? They always have a twin. So you see a positive I, that means that there's also a negative I. Okay, they always come in pairs. All right? So that means my answers are x equals to 4, x equals to I, x equals to negative I. So now I got to write them out in factors, right? So I have y equals x minus 4. Remember, change the sign, right? The positive I will become a negative I, and the negative I will become a positive I. Now, should I just distribute the first two? No, right? I always do the twins, right? It's going to make it easier on you first. So get the twins out of the way. So here we go. You guys want me to do this box or distribution? Box. Okay, let's do box. X minus I, x plus I. Again, you can do it however you'd like. So here we go. X times x is x squared. Negative I times x is negative xi. X times I, that's positive xi. And negative I times I is negative I squared. What happens to these terms right here? These cancel, right? They're gone. And what's negative I squared? Well, I squared is negative 1. What's negative I squared? Positive 1, right? Plus 1. Because it's minus a negative 1. So it becomes plus 1. So let me write that out for us. X minus 4, x plus 1. Sorry, x squared plus 1. Right? X squared. And this is a positive 1. And now I'm going to distribute. Again, just doing a little bit of each, right? So let's do a little bit of each. So I'm going to start with x. Just so you guys can see, it doesn't matter how you do it. Just do it right. Right? Math can be done an infinite number of ways. Just do it right. Okay? So x times x squared, that's x cubed. X times 1, that's positive x. And then the negative 4 will go in. That's negative 4x squared when you multiply the first two. And negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. We'll just write it out in order. So they like high powers first. And then start going down. So here you go. Remember what I told you guys. It's not that the answer on top of that box is wrong. It is right. But under state testing and stuff like that, they always like to organize it. So it's either going to be from high power to low power or from low power to high power. So they either want it ascending or descending. But they don't like it all mixed up. So write it in some order and then you should be able to find out. Are we okay with this one? So there will be an imaginary problem. There will be a problem with normal numbers that include a 0 in it. There's going to be some where you have multiplicity. Okay? There's 4 of these. And then there's 2 of these. And then 2 of these. Okay? So this is the one we called short division. Right? So divide the following short division. Remember, I told you guys you can do this in your head if you want to, and that's perfectly fine. But if you don't want to do that, then I'm going to show you what it looks like if you do it step by step. So, 2p cubed over 2p, negative 6p squared over 2p, and 4p over 2p. That's what it looks like if you want to do this step by step. So start with the top one of those 3 fractions. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I don't have to write it down. P to the third divided by P to the first is P to the what? P squared. All right, so there you go. Remember, you could write 1P squared, but it just looks kind of awkward. So P squared is fine. All right, negative 6 divided by 2. Negative 3. P squared divided by P to the first. Just a P, right? So there you go. And then 4 divided by 2 2, and what happens with p divided by p? Cancel. So here's my answer. Get all these. P squared minus 3p plus 2. Again, you don't have to show that much work. It's okay if you don't want to. Just make sure that you do it one way or the other, step by step, in your head, however you want. I'm not trying to limit you by steps, but do whatever you need to do to get that answer, besides cheating. Yeah. So, I remember one year, I had 3 kids, this was years back, 3 kids that used to like to sit together. All of them were failing. Okay, and I was trying to get them to get better. They didn't want to do anything. It's kind of hard to convince somebody to do something when they don't want to. But they would cheat off of each other. And I knew they did. I'd watch them do it. But they all had like 20%, 18%, 12%. So when they cheat off of each other, they were failing anyway. Right? Like, so I would tell them, like, why are you guys copying off each other? Well, I don't know how to do it. I'm like, but they don't know how to do it either. Right? So that, and they wouldn't understand what I was saying. I'm like, none of you guys should be copying off each other. I said, you see the list on the very top right there, number 1? That's who you need to sit next to if you guys didn't be copying. But yeah, and they always wanted to copy off each other, and I'm like, they don't know what they're doing. So yeah, choose wisely if you're gonna copy. Don't pick the worst students, right? You want to find the top 10s, right? That's why I put them up there for you guys. No, I'm just kidding. That's not why they're up there. It's not for cheating purposes. So here's the last type of problem you guys are gonna do. Okay, it's gonna be a division problem. It's gonna take a little while. So this is the long division. There's 2 of them. If I'm correct, one of them is a little bit easier. So this one has like a number in front of the x minus 2. It's 3x minus 2. So not that makes it more difficult. It's just, it looks like it is, but it's not. Okay. So I figure I'd just do one of these instead of doing an easy one and letting you guys find out that some of them look different. So we'll do one that looks difficult. So here we go. So the 3x minus 2 goes out here. 3x cubed minus 5x squared minus 4x plus 3 goes in there. Remember, we focus on the firsts, right? By that, I mean focus on the first terms. So right here and right here. That's what you're looking at. I need 3x to become 3x cubed. What do I multiply it by? X squared. Thank you. So I'm going to multiply it by x squared. And remember, when you get that x squared, you're going to distribute it back in here, okay? Distribute it back in. So 3x times x squared is 3x cubed, and negative 2 times x squared is negative 2x squared. And just like we did in 4th or 5th grade, somewhere around there, we subtract, right? Remember, your first term is supposed to cancel. If it doesn't, you just did something wrong. Make sure you guys remember that. Your first term should cancel. So 3x cubed minus 3x cubed is 0. Perfect. Okay? Remember, the next step is the one I said that I can bet that some of you guys are going to mess up right here. Okay? So you better be careful. That negative in the front, right, is minus. Don't forget to distribute it all the way through. So when I read this, negative 5x squared minus negative 2x squared. What does that really mean? I got to add, right? I got to add. So what do I get? Negative 5x squared plus 2x squared. Negative 3x squared. Like I said, that's going to be the killer right there. Okay? That negative sign is going to be left alone. You guys aren't going to distribute it, and you're going to get wrong answers, and you won't know. Right? So please make a note.
I like to put parentheses around it, so I can know the distribution.
That's what I usually do. That here I don't do it, but whenever I plug in numbers, everything's in parentheses, and I tell them so that you don't mess up, right? But yeah, the parentheses are helpful. So negative 3x squared minus 4x, right? We got to drop down the next one. So, all right, we have this. Now I'm going to focus on the first again, right? Look at your first term, right? So look at the first term, 3x and negative 3x squared. What do I multiply 3x to get negative 3x squared? Negative x. Okay. So negative x. And remember, you're only multiplying by negative x here, okay? Not by everything, just the new term. So negative x times 3x is negative 3x squared. Negative x times negative 2 is positive 2x. And I subtract. Okay. Just to make a real quick comment. See how I put a minus and I circle it?
Yeah.
That's the way I remember distribute, right? That's a visual cue for me to say distribute. Because some people will just leave it like that and it looks weird. So for me, I always circle it. First terms are going to cancel, right? Negative 3x squared minus negative 3x squared, that's negative 3 plus 3, that's 0. The next one, negative 4x minus 2x. Negative 6x. Drop the 3. And now I get to focus on the first again. First terms. How do I make 3x into negative 6x? Negative 2, right? So let me put minus 2. And remember, only this gets multiplied. Okay, only that. So 3x times negative 2, that's negative 6x. And negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. I'm going to subtract. So negative 6x minus negative 6x is 0. 3 minus 4, negative 1. Man, again, a negative remainder. I'm telling you, positive remainders do exist. Okay, for some reason we just keep getting negative ones. So here's my answer. X squared minus x minus 2. Remember, that's my quotient. That's up here, okay? That's my quotient. That's your answer. Then minus your remainder over what you were dividing by, which is 3x minus 2. And this is your answer. The other question on your quiz is shorter. It's only going to have 2 terms in your quotient and then a remainder. This one has 3 terms in your quotient. That means it was a longer problem. Okay, so the other one you guys have for your quiz will be shorter. You guys have any questions, concerns, comments? I know we get out in about 8, 9 minutes. Let me make a couple comments about your final.